Once again, what are we going to get up to in Big City this time? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 18 of Big City Greens. I mentioned this last time, but I really wish I had more to say in these cold opens because it's just like with a episodic series like this, it's just so hard when there's not an ongoing plot to reference in those. But let's talk about what we have for this episode. So as always, don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping for Gloria because I'm always hoping for Gloria. But I would like to see Vasquez again. We haven't seen him for a while. In fact, we only saw him the one time, I think. Though he was mentioned a couple episodes ago. Um, I just want Tio Danny again. Like, always great to hear him in something. But I do want to briefly bring up something, even though I don't have much of anything else to say. So, as I mentioned before, I mentioned we were probably going to be taking one more break before this season ends because there's 30 episodes this season, and we did like 9 episodes the first time, the first run through, and I was thinking we're going to do about 9-10 episodes this time, and then we'll have the same amount for the last watch through of this season at least. I know it's like, oh, taking breaks and everything, it takes up time. And it's like, yes, it makes the reaction to the like full season and all last longer. But it's like, it's hard with an episodic series to just watch it all the way through, for me at least. Because with a series that has an ongoing plot, a serialized show, you have something to keep you coming back each week. With an episodic series, it's like, it's it's basically a new concept every time. There's a tiny, tiny little bit of continuity, but every episode is its own thing. And so it's like the only thing that has you coming back is the humor of the characters, the personalities and humor surrounding them. And it's like, that's good, but for me at least, it's not enough. I need more of a reason to keep wanting to come back if I'm going to like push through it. Like Adventure Time. Adventure Time, a lot of the seasons run pretty long. I think the last couple seasons are actually a lot shorter though. The ones that are going to be coming up. Um, but the point is, most of the time with Adventure Time, seasons have run pretty long, and it's easier to get through them though because each episode is half length. With this, it's a full length episode with 2 segments. It's a different situation. I've talked about this before, but because of that, it takes a lot longer to get through. Plus, Adventure Time also has more of an ongoing narrative. Like, even though like there's a lot of episodic stuff randomly put in there, each season has an ongoing narrative to some degree. Um, there are little bits and pieces of things that keep coming back and keep interesting you. Like with this past season of Adventure Time, it's like, oh, you're introduced to the idea of the elementals and Patience St. Pym. And it's like, and the episode just ends without resolution to that. And so it's like, oh, that's going to be coming back. And then eventually it does. You're introduced to stuff in regards to Susan. And it's like, oh, there's setup there, and that's going to come back. And it does. And it's like, this is stuff that this series doesn't really have. At least not right now. It could in the future, and I hope it does. And there's a lot to love about Big City Greens. But it's admittedly also a little, it drags a bit. It drags a bit. So what my plan here is that after next week's break, we're taking the break next week. We're going to have the entire week until Friday off. But Friday we're only doing Batman and High Rise Invasion. After next week's break, we come back the next week for everything again. When we do this series, which at that time will be on, if you've seen the update video that went up as well, it'll be on Wednesday instead of Friday. I'm switching the Wednesday and Friday slots around. Go watch the update video I'm putting up before this for info on that. But yeah, this will be on Wednesday that week and from forward on. But I'm going to be doing probably episodes 19 and 20 together, and then we're going to be taking the break. We're going to do those 2 episodes, and then that's going to be the break point for this series. We'll take a break, do some other stuff, and then come back to this. And I think that's the good point to do it. Because then we'll come back and we'll have like another 10 episodes to go, and we'll be done. With the season, at least. Gotta clarify that part. But yeah, I think that's the best option here. And I think that's what's going to make this the most enjoyable for the time. And then from that point forward, I don't know how many episodes future seasons have, but I might start trying to like integrate it in the same way that I do Adventure Time. Sort of like every so often I get to another season and then just do like as much as I can at a time and all that. I don't know. It'll depend on how things turn out in the future and as that goes. But yeah. For now, I think that's what the plan is going to be. So remember, not next week, but the week after is going to be our final week for the time being. And I don't plan for us to have to wait over a year again to bring this back. We'll probably have like a couple shows in between. And then we'll probably bring this back. That's the plan, at least. But yeah, for now, I think we're just going to get on with this and kind of take it as it goes. Just see where we go with it and hope for the best. So let's get into this episode and hopefully have a good time with some more Big City Greens. Cutting in here real quick to remind you that we have a lot of great content to check out on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Friday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday, as well as Let's Plays every day of the week. We switch on and off every day between Horizon and Baldur's Gate 3 and have Anno Mutationum on Saturdays. Please don't forget to click the link in the description below to follow it to today's reaction. We redirect everything just due to copyright. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video and the channel, respectively. And I hope you have a great time with today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, quick update. I have changed my mind. This is the break point. We're not going to do 19 and 20 before we take our break. We're taking the break at this point because I feel like this is the perfect episode to leave off on before we continue. So it's going to be like 12 episodes for the last reaction set, I guess you could say, for this season. But yeah, this is the perfect point to leave off on. It's like no other point would make any semblance of sense. It's the perfect episode to do that for. And I also mean it's the perfect episode in the way that it's the best one so far. Surprisingly, I held it together during the Gloria segment, but yeah, that I was crying for the second one. So that, yeah, their mother was who I thought it was going to be. It's like once I had started putting it together when I said like, oh, I have the thought and everything about what could be going on here, because the mom was mentioned early in the episode or in the segment. So it's like it had started to connect a little bit, and I'm like, I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to be wrong, but it's like, and I'm like, I'll cry if I'm right, and yeah, I did. Because this is something we've been waiting for since the beginning of the series. So it's like this is a big deal. And I know I'm talking about the second segment first, but and it's like, even without that though, like even if this episode was just about finding Phoenix, like Phoenix ran away to, like, even if it was just to like find some food or something, um, I think that this segment still would have worked just on that alone. Because the entire, like, boy and his dog kind of concept is a concept that's been done a lot in various media, whether comics or movies, shows, just stories in general. The boy and his dog concept is a very classic trope. And it's a really good one. Because it's something that I think most people can relate to. And even if you're not a boy, it's like a kid and his dog, a kid and their dog, which is kind of how they described it in this one at the biker bar. It's like that's a concept that pretty much anyone can get behind and understand and really just, care for. And so it gets you invested. And seeing them like really searching and the emotions behind it and everybody getting involved, as well as like when they find her and almost get to her but she escapes and everything, it's like everything works out really well. Everything is just like is properly paced. It feels really good, and the setups for the mom, Nancy, I guess, the setups for her debut are really good, because it mentions her and briefly kind of shows her, and the funny thing is, like, it shows her like with like tattoos and stuff and all, and then you go to the biker bar and you're starting to put things together and everything, and you're starting to think like, oh, we're bringing in the mom, aren't we? and it's just the only thing I would change about this second segment is I feel like their reaction to her should have been a little bigger. Not necessarily like overdone or like this massive emotional like drop or anything. Because I think the way it was done already was mostly fine. But it's just like Bill is just so nonchalantly like, oh hey, look who's gotten out of jail. It's like, I'm sorry. First of all, what? She was in prison? That's why she wasn't around? I kind of really want to know why she was in prison. But alright. But he's so casual about it. And even like Cricket and Tilly are just like generally excited to see her. They're not like crying and weeping and like, oh, where have you been all this time or anything. No. It's like, it's almost kind of weird how casual it is. And again, it's not bad because everything else had already built you up to get emotional. So it's like you don't really need that extra punch. You're already in that state. And I kind of feel that's what they were kind of aiming for. It's like get you emotional throughout this entire story about the dog, so that they don't have to like give this huge emotional gut punch at the end, and just they can make it more casual, make it more, simplistic. And I think it works in that regard. But again, I just wish it was just a tiny bit less casual, a tiny bit more excited. It doesn't have to be, again, spectacularly so, but just a little. Um But let's talk about the first segment, because I've made obviously no secret that Gloria is my favorite character, and I was waiting for an episode like this. Like, outside of the stuff like with Cricket paying off his debt and everything, and the stuff with Chip Whistler coming back, which the continuity there, it's like the apartment scene is obviously what sells you on that episode, because it really goes into Gloria in a way that hadn't before. Like, we knew Gloria was like not that well off. We knew she had dreams of being an artist. We know she's had dreams of Paris and all. Um, but this goes into a lot more of like her, like outside of just the big dreams and outside of just her personality. We get a lot more of like her as a person here, and through some comical delivery methods, but also like some really emotional stuff. Like, you saw how serious Cricket got inside that apartment. You saw how like he was getting it, how he was actually really understanding her. No jokes, no goofiness, not a lot of silliness. He understood her a lot more in that moment. And like hearing like even what the parrot said, it's like it's a bit of a goofy delivery method to give us information on her, but I think it's actually pretty clever, because it's like, ignore her, there's people out there. Because the thing is, these are things that she would never say, things that she would never just openly admit to without provocation. Yeah, there's some people across the street, some like yard workers or something, and she's hearing voices, so she has to bark. But yeah, it's like, these are things Gloria would never openly admit to on her own. So the parrot saying like she's so lonely and she's eaten another whole tub of ice cream on her own, it's just like, it's a funny delivery method, but you don't laugh, because even though the delivery method is kind of silly and fun, it's like, it kind of hits you. It's like, Jesus, that's really fucking sad. And it's like, Cricket doesn't laugh. Cricket takes it very seriously. He sees how sad it is. And we find out, like, again, I knew this from that Anxious musical short. Let me see if I can find that real quick, because it's like my mind has been blanking on what it's actually called. Disney short Anxious. Da, 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 da. Okay, hold on a second here. I just wanted to turn down my volume so it didn't capture anything here when I opened it up. So yeah, it's Ways We Feel Anxious. Broken Karaoke is what I was trying to think of. Broken Karaoke, it's a parody of the Descendants 2 song Ways to Be Wicked. And yeah, it's Marcy from Amphibia, Candace from Phineas and Ferb, Libby from Ghost of Mallow McGee, and Gloria from Big City Greens, obviously. But yeah, it's Ways We Feel Anxious. It's like, it's because of that I got into this series. I wanted to check it out, and it's because of that I knew Gloria had come to this city to be an artist. That was her dream, and now she worked at the coffee shop because, has to have some kind of job to get by. It's like, I knew this stuff because of that. Like, that was something I knew going into the series. But yeah, I guess they hadn't actually like revealed that, especially to Cricket, as of yet. We knew she was an artist. We knew that she was like trying to make it big. She had dreams of Paris and everything. But I guess we didn't know she wasn't actually from Big City in terms of in the series. We find she's from the suburb. We see a picture of her parents and everything. And we learn about her, trying really hard to fit in just so she could, be someone that she's always dreamt of being. It's like these are like really big moments, and really big things to find out about her. And again, it's taken very seriously. And through this stuff, and everything that goes down, it's like Cricket definitely gains a lot more respect for her, like actual respect. And she gains respect for him through everything too. Which is why, in the end, when he pays off his debt and everything, she decides to make it so that he'll end up having a new debt, a new reason to stay, because they don't want to stop working together. They've gained a respect and caring for each other, and actually like being, friends. And mind you, they could still remain friends otherwise, but, it makes it easier. Also, a little less weird. Because admittedly, there's a little bit of weirdness with an adult woman and a young boy. Like, what is he, like 12 years old? There's a little weirdness of them being friends. But if, they're co-workers in this way, it's a little more understandable. And mind you, here's a little fun fact. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. But there was my family moved around a lot, so I lived in a lot of different places. But one of the places we lived, there was this, like, it was this big, um, I guess subdivision is the best way I can put it. That I was living in, a lot of neighborhood kids and stuff. We would all hang out. But there was also this older kid who was like high school junior or senior. And this is, mind you, while I'm like in elementary school. And I was friends with him. We all were. And he was a good dude. He was a very friendly, nice guy. We would play games together. We'd hang out and stuff. He was completely nice. And there was nothing ever weird about it. Um, so yeah, it's like sometimes like kids can genuinely have those kind of relationships with older people, as long as it's not weird or creepy or anything like that, and as long as there's usually, some kind of how would you put it, um guidance, like around, like parents in the vicinity and stuff, which there usually always were. Again, it was like this big neighborhood, a lot of people, a lot of houses. Um, so yeah, it's like we always felt safe. It was always a safe situation. And mind you, I think back then it was also just a safer time generally. But it's like we obviously know Gloria is trustworthy. So it's fine, and it's like, again, there's that coworker connection, and the reason they've worked together, so they formed connections through that and all. We know it's okay, but some people would still see it as a bit weird because, a, adult and kid and everything. But it's like, as long as there's nothing weird about it, it's fine. Especially since it's a fucking cartoon. Um, but yeah. Uh, yeah, the first segment gave us a lot of great stuff with Gloria, and just really developed her excellently, while giving us also just a really fun episode involving Chip Whistler returning, and some intense like car chase stuff. Uh, Plus, like, just the ridiculousness about the beans in general. Also, we got to see Gloria use martial arts, and that's really cool. And it's just like, I needed to know how to defend myself in the big city, and it's like, you know what? Yeah, fucking fair. You are a young woman in a big city. Yeah, you probably should know how to defend yourself. That is completely fair. Also, he was being just a really big creep when he first saw her. It's like he was actively flirting with her, and she's like, "Ew, let's kick your ass now," which fair. And I understand he's supposed to be like a shitty person, but it's like that was a new level of shitty. Like I got the ick. I got the ick for sure. Um, I just really liked that episode. And again, between the big developments with Gloria and, the mom fucking like appearing at the end of Phoenix Rises, it's like this is the perfect episode to end on for now. It leaves off on a great cliffhanger with the mom's return. It gave us amazing development as well as two segments that were just exceptionally well written. It's like I would not feel right doing two more episodes after this because I don't think the next episodes are going to be as good of a leave off as this. They're probably, at least the next episode's probably going to touch on, why she was in prison and why she is back now and everything with that. We're going to probably touch on that right away next episode. But that's exactly also why it's a good point to come back to after a break. It's like, oh, we leave off for a little bit on this big cliffhanger of the mom finally returning. And so when we come back, we have that to look forward to, finding out that information. And like I said, I do not plan for it to be as long of a break. But yeah, I guess it also times out fine with the break we're having from recording and uploading next week. So, yeah, in 2 weeks on that Wednesday, which I think is the 21st, that is going to be when we come back to this. Because once again, that week that we're coming back, which would be the week of Monday the 19th, we are switching the Wednesday and Friday slots around. Again, more details and info on that are in the update video I put up today. So check that out if you want more info. But yeah, just wanted to let you know. Wanted to keep you up to date on all of that. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this episode? Were you as impressed with it as I was? What do you think of Mama Green returning? Let me know your thoughts on all of this and more down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.